Welcome, guys, to Care Smarts 360 on air. That's a home care podcast. I'm Dennis Gill, senior sales consultant at Care Smarts. Right. So today we have a very special guest who's going to share their expertise on a topic that is crucial for any business looking to drive sustainable growth: the power of key performance indicators, KPIs. Right. Our guest, Laura Pierce, is a seasoned home care business strategist and an analytics expert. So, in a conversation today, Laura will delve into how home care businesses can leverage technology to track and analyze their KPIs, using them to enhance operational efficiencies and improve service quality.
Perfect.
So we'll also explore the role of KPIs in effective budget management, helping businesses make informed financial decisions that align with their goals. But that's not all. Laura will also discuss the importance of using KPIs to measure employee performance, foster a culture of accountability, and building a high-performing team. So the
Go
key,
team.
yeah, performing team, yeah. So the key takeaway here is that the KPI is not just for metrics, but strategic tools that can drive sustainable business growth. So get ready to learn how to harness the power of KPIs and take your businesses to new heights. Let's dive in. So welcome to the podcast, Laura.
Thank you.
Formal welcome from my side. So I'll straight away jump in with my first question over here. So what do you say? How can KPI analysis help home care businesses make more informed financial decisions and optimize their budgets? Your thoughts on that?
Okay. Well, what I like to do with KPIs is I like to divide them into two groups,
Uh-huh.
operational and financial.
Okay.
So an example of like a financial KPI could be like a revenue cost analysis, figuring out, what is your revenue per client, your cost per visit, which gives you your gross profit margins. An overlooked KPI is the cash flow management KPI. This allows you to know, how quickly you're able to collect your money and be able to make be able to pay all your expenses. I'd say resource allocation, like a staffing efficiency KPI, kind of like your caregiver utilization rate. That's a really important KPI to look at, so you're not having any, I don't know, it helps you to reduce any unnecessary labor costs.
Okay.
And also to get back to profitability, and I believe this firmly because this is how it was in our business. More sales does not equal more profit in all instances. It's operational efficiencies that are the true key to profitability. Because when you're analyzing your KPIs and you have efficiency of service delivery, profitability by revenue class, reducing turnover, all of these KPIs, they reveal ways that you can streamline your operations,
Okay.
reduce waste, and enhance that profitability. So you've got to keep your finger on all those pulses at one time.
Okay. Okay. So just continuing with this part, so what are the key KPIs that home care businesses should focus on? Because that's our prime clients, I would say, and focus on to drive success. And how do you recommend prioritizing them?
Well, prioritizing, it depends on the stage of business you're in. So if you're brand new, the first thing I would look at is your initial calls coming
Oh,
in and making
okay.
sure that you're having a very good close rate getting to that home visit. Then you can start to see, what your average revenue is per client. So you're developing, what your break-even point is at that point, and understanding how many clients do you actually need rather than guessing. Because I work with a lot of people that just end up guessing those numbers, and they
Okay.
find that they're um, tracking your cost per visits and, being able to, look at what those direct costs are. Let's see, that gets you to, understanding your profitability. But then as your business starts to get a little bit older, you're starting to be able to see historical data. So I'd say like at that 1 year mark, you have
Yeah.
that data and you can start looking at what your real client acquisition cost is. And you may want to, readjust your marketing efforts, look at your true ROI at that point. Also your client retention rate, the types of clients that you're going after. I worked with a new franchisee whose franchisor told him you need to focus on hospice.
Okay.
And I was like, no, do not focus on hospice. You're too new. You have no base.
Yeah.
And he called me up a week later and said, this is so easy. I'm already at 100 hours and I'm doing great. And basically the little bubble in his head was, Laura, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I just stood back, tick, tick, boom,
Oh.
went to zero.
Oh.
Lost
Straight
all
away.
those caregivers. He
Uh-huh.
lost all his marketing money that, his time going to the hospice companies. And I mean, it ended up putting him, further into the red. So it's, understanding, what types of clients you need to go after that give you the longest sustainable base and to be able
Yeah.
to grow it. So you start looking at your client retention rate. Again, your utilization rate, that's where you start to see, when do you really need to hire that next caregiver? You want that number to be around 20 hours per caregiver. Just, it's all about deploying that workforce optimally. And then as you start getting even more mature, and I'm talking, the 2 to 3 year period, your KPIs are going to build a little bit more. And so you start looking at, your turnover rates, how long are these clients actually staying? You get more historical data. You start looking at your current ratio. Are you able to pay your bills? A good current ratio is like a 1.1. So it's just taking your assets and dividing it into your liabilities. And
Okay.
simply put in a word sentence is for every, if you have a 1.1, for every $1 of liabilities, I have $1.10 to pay that.
Gotta tend to pay
The
that.
higher the number, the better. So
Got
a lot
that.
of people don't look at that. And that was one that shocked me when we had our business about our 5th year. We were like at 1.03, and I was like, we got to make this number better.
Yeah.
So non-billable expenses start to creep up. You start getting, travel time, having to pay for that. Mistakes in the schedule kind of creep in. So any of those non-billable expenses can start impacting everything. So you want to keep that to under 5%. That's a good KPI. Your net promoter score, that's another one. Are your clients going to recommend you and refer you? And not having any ratings or negative ratings can also hurt you. And another important one is that employee turnover rate. That tells you, your culture, or, how is your scheduler treating your employees? We found our scheduler was being mean and belligerent when we weren't around to our employees. We had this high turnover. So it's like, all these things give you these little clues in your business. So you may need to replace somebody, fix somebody. It's just really important just to kind of keep your finger on each and every one of those pulses, depending on what your stage of your business is.
Got it. Obviously, the new business owners are there, or even if they're established ones, so they're taking everything step by step. So that I think that should be the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just, start off with the initial calls. I can tell you nobody measures that properly, and you want to make sure everybody measures it exactly the same. If the phone rings and you answer it, and they got your number from somewhere, you need, even a wrong number, you need to find out, where did you see our number? How did you hear about us? Because that may tell you your marketing message is not right, or you might need to put some negative keywords in your pay-per-click searching.
Got
There's
it.
a lot of data in there, and a lot of people don't count those. They say, oh, nope, I don't count that because, it was a wrong number. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's a very important number.
I get that point. I get the point. And any how, if you could just give some examples on how businesses can leverage technology to track and analyze their KPIs more effectively. You answered some, but if some
I
more
did.
specific examples, yeah.
Yeah, well, when we started out in home care back in 2001, there was really, it was a spreadsheet. You just had to basically figure it all out for yourself. And as companies like y'all's, which has a very robust dashboard behind it, in addition to all the, the scheduling needs for a home care company, you can start to see and visualize your metrics and your data and your KPIs in real time.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have that visual representation. I have my own industry focused and user friendly KPI dashboard that I use for my clients. It's highly flexible, and it also allows for customization and being able to benchmark against peers. So the technology part makes it a lot easier to, not have to data input all this information and then make your own charts through, I used to have to do it through Excel and
Yeah.
put all my pie charts in, and it just saves you a lot of time. And I just finished writing a book, how to leverage AI in your home care business. So
Oh,
there's so many things you can do with it. It's just amazing compared to when I started back in 2001.
oh, our company has also started that part, the AI part. We have a specific AI dashboard dedicated to that thing, where the agencies can track how the caregivers are performing, sales forecasting can be done. So yeah, it
Mhm.
really does help the agencies in that part, and they are really liking it. I can guarantee you that they're really liking that part.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's non-biased. It gives you the numbers, and
Yeah,
it's just an amazing way to see how your business is performing.
yeah, definitely. And any best practices, Laura, for using KPIs to measure and improve caregiver performance in a way that does foster accountability and also a high-performing team? Anything from your side on that?
Okay, well, when it's specific to the caregivers, you want to make sure that that KPI is relevant to that position. And so, like with the caregiver, it would be client satisfaction scores, number of visits completed, their time management. Here's a big one: punctuality, as
Yeah,
well as call outs. I mean, I would have caregivers that would tell me, "Oh, I haven't called out in 6 months," and I'd go back and look. Yes, you have.
it does. The record
Um,
shows it. Yeah,
training completion, skill testings, adhering to the plan of care. So all those are really good just to show the caregiver in a non-biased, factual way of how they're actually performing. But in general, for any position, I just like to tell people, it needs to be the KPIs need to be clear and relevant to the position. They need to be realistic and achievable targets. Let's just say you need to improve something, split it 3 3 3. You don't want to have it so unattainable that it just, people just give up. I mean, they
yeah.
will.
It's
It needs
achievable
to be,
thing. Should be achievable thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It needs to be properly communicated, and it goes back to that consistently measured guideline. Make sure that everybody's doing it the exact same way. um, Provide regular feedback and support with it. But the best thing about KPIs is that it has a cascading effect in our business.
Mhm.
It all goes down to, the person who answers the phone to the person who does the home visit. It's usually not the same person. So it makes for a more collaborative work environment. And it also encourages a lot more self assessment and also fairness and accountability when you are talking to your employees.
Yeah, definitely. And I think these things, not specifically for the home care industry, these things work in all the sectors that are there, even if
Mhm.
you're in sales or anything else in any of the company. So these KPI I think this AI thing coming into that thing, that's a very plus point. And finally, one last thing I wanted to check with you that how do most successful businesses integrate KPIs into their overall business strategy and decision-making processes?
Okay. Well, I have to say it starts with the culture. You
Mhm.
want to have your KPIs aligning with your strategic goals, your mission, and your vision. You want to embed them into your everyday operations and use them for both that short term and long term decision making tools. But first, you need to take that heart wrenching look at your business and just analyze it from the top down to see what improvements are needed the most and what will have the most impact in the short term. And I can tell you from experience, it was heart wrenching. We thought we were just operating great, but when we started putting in the numbers, we realized that we had a lot of deficiencies that we needed to work on. Um, you know, it's also, using that KPI specific software that
Uh-huh.
will allow you to do regular reviews. A lot of people only do a review once a year.
Yeah,
How do you know if your employee is still performing, at a high level when you're not going back and reviewing their KPIs with them? So
yeah.
this lets them know that, hey, we're watching, and it's also in their job description. And you also want to link that to any kind of rewards or incentives. That's what we did. We would, if we met our numbers and certain KPIs, we'd take everybody out for dinner.
Hmm.
They chose where they got to go. If we came close, sometimes we would just bring lunch in.
Hmm.
But it really brought our office closer together because we all had self accountability. I mean, every KPI was my report card. and
Wow.
everybody had their little sections. So I had to make sure everybody, along with my husband, I had to give my husband some credit because we ran the business together. And I can hear him. I was there too, but we wanted to make sure that everybody knew what they needed to do and what was expected of them. You know, when we'd hire somebody, we would let them know, okay, here's what we expect of you. You know, in the beginning, you're not going to hit these numbers. That's your learning curve. But at this point, we need you to be able to do, you know, the following things in order to get our business to go forward.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, it was great thoughts from your side. And thanks a lot, Laura, for sharing your expertise. And to our lovely audience, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, I'm Dennis Gill signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.